Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Jerzy Owsiak, until recently the CEO of the Great Orchestra of Christmas Charity, or WOSP, announced that he will be coming back to his position as the president of the foundation. Owsiak decided to step down from this role after the tragic murder of the mayor of Gdańsk, Paweł Adamowicz, during the foundation's event. However, some people argue that Owsiak's decision to return is just a publicity stunt, and that he should have at least waited a few more days after the late mayor's funeral with his announcement.
Jerzy Owsiak announced his decision in social media after the funeral ceremonies of the late mayor of Gdańsk, Paweł Adamowicz.
Zabieram się do roboty.
Let's get to work. Please be with us until the end of the world and one day more. Thank you very much. Owsiak's decision to return brought as much mixed emotions as his decision to step down from the role of the CEO. Jurek Owsiak returns as the CEO of WOSP. Wow, it worked out, I'm so happy. The time of mourning has passed, so Jurek Owsiak returns as the CEO of WOSP. It's all good now, nothing happened. We're back in the game, let's go. Despite the controversies surrounding Jerzy Owsiak, most Poles have no doubts that his work with the foundation is admirable, to say the least. The widow of the late mayor of Gdańsk appealed to Owsiak for his return as the chairman of the foundation. Jurek, please return to the orchestra, keep fighting and we will prevail. Let's go. I'm standing by his decision and I'm strongly against all the hate towards him. His decision was motivated by the widow's request. Before you say something in the internet, you need to keep in mind the family which was struck by this awful tragedy. Sociologist Krzysztof Karnkowski points to the fact that Owsiak chose a bad time for his annunciation. It seems like Jerzy Owsiak wanted to gather attention during the funeral ceremonies, and it's not appropriate. Even his devoted fans say that. As to people who condemn his decision, it's clear that he made some new enemies with his bad timing. Jerzy Owsiak has led the Great Orchestra of Christmas Charity for 27 years. He's its founder and the organizer of the annual WOSP finale.
During yesterday's speech, the US President Donald Trump proposed to the Democratic Party an agreement to end the federal government shutdown, offering the opposition party extension of stay for illegal immigrants already in the USA in exchange for funding of the border wall, which was promptly turned down by the Democrats.
The president yet again advocates for the physical wall for border security.
To physically secure our border, the plan includes $5.7 billion for a strategic deployment of physical barriers, or a wall. This is not a 2,000-mile concrete structure from sea to sea. These are steel barriers in high-priority locations.
In exchange for funding of the border wall, the president proposed a compromise in terms of immigration policies.
There are two more elements to my plan. Number one is 3 years of legislative relief for 700,000 DACA recipients brought here unlawfully by their parents at a young age many years ago. This extension will give them access to work permits, social security numbers, and protection from deportation, most importantly.
Along with the DACA Act, Trump also proposed a 3-year extension of the TPS.
Secondly, our proposal provides a 3-year extension of temporary protected status, or TPS. This means that 300,000 immigrants whose protected status is facing expiration will now have 3 more years of certainty so that Congress can work on a larger immigration deal, which everybody wants, Republicans and Democrats.
Trump stuck to his demand that $5.7 billion for this year to fund the US-Mexico border wall be a part of any bill to fully reopen the government, an ultimatum Democrats oppose. The president hoped that offering new protections for undocumented immigrants could put an end to the impasse still ongoing in the Congress. Not long after the announcement, one of the top Democrats, possible candidate for 2020 elections, Nancy Pelosi, made a statement calling the offer unacceptable and did not represent a good faith effort to restore certainty to people's lives, claiming that the president's offer was unlikely to gain the votes needed to pass the House or Senate. That partial shutdown has meant that 800,000 federal workers were either furloughed or working without pay since December 22nd.
Panama prepares for the World Youth Day, a Catholic event initiated by Pope John Paul II in 1985. The event takes place in a different country every 2 or 3 years and gathers youth from all around the world to pray and sing religious songs. Following the success of the 2016 World Youth Day in Poland, the Panamanian authorities asked the Polish Scouts to come to Panama this year and provide help in securing the event. The Polish Scouts, among other things, proved to be irreplaceable in organizing paramedical help and making sure that all the participants were safe and sound. The World Youth Day in Panama will take place between January 22nd and 27th. Up to 170 migrants are presumed dead after 2 dinghies sunk in the Mediterranean Sea. One of the dinghies set out from Libya and, according to 3 survivors, carried over 100 people when it sunk in rough waters off the Libyan coast. The second dinghy has set off from Morocco and was heading for Spain when it suffered from an unspecified collision. Following the incident, 53 migrants are estimated to have lost their lives in the waters of the Upper Aegean Sea.
Apart from the 2 deadly disasters in the Mediterranean, the NGO vessel Sea-Watch picked up 43 migrants off a rubber boat drifting in the sea north of the Libyan city Zuwara. Today, Pope Francis prayed for the dead and missing migrants on the Mediterranean Sea. I'm thinking of the 170 victims in the Mediterranean. They were looking for a future for their lives, and perhaps they were victims of human traffickers. Let us pray for them and for those who are responsible for what happened. The migrant routes on the Mediterranean Sea changed significantly in 2018. The number of migrant arrivals to Italy dropped to only around 20,000 compared to 120,000 in 2017. Spain saw an increase in arrivals from 22,000 in 2017 to almost 60,000 in 2018. The Italian Minister of Interior, Matteo Salvini, has refused NGO vessels to disembark migrants in Italy, a move which has been heavily criticized by representatives of the Church and human rights campaigners across Europe. In a Facebook livestream video posted following this weekend's 2 deadly incidents on the Mediterranean, Salvini doubled down on his strict immigration policy. Now, perhaps professors, intellectuals, associations, a cardinal and 6,000 broadcasters will say that we must open the ports, hug migrants and welcome them all. I say no, no and no, because the latest shipwreck is proof that if you reopen ports, if you allow everyone to cross the Mediterranean Sea regardless of the laws of our countries, more people will die. I repeat, open hearts for those who really flee from war, but closed ports for NGOs, human traffickers and everyone else.
Ve lo ripeto, cuori aperti.
Salvini seems to be right in his claims, as the number of migrants drowning has decreased and fewer migrants attempt to make the perilous journey. Similar results were seen when Australia closed its waters for illegal migrants arriving by boats.
That's it for today. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily. But stay tuned for the Poland Daily Business section with our very own Alexander Wojcicki and his special guests.
Hello, welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. I'm Paulina Otterstein. Tonight, the minimum temperature will be -4 degrees in the area of Białystok, also in Olsztyn, as well as in Lublin and Krakow. Clear skies are expected around Katowice, Wrocław, also in Gdańsk and Olsztyn. Gdańsk will see the maximum temperature tonight 1 degree Celsius, central Poland -2, and Katowice -3. Now let's check what will happen tomorrow. So again, quite a bit of sun all over the country, but we are expecting some snow as well in the southern parts of the country, also in the east around Białystok, as well as in the northern parts. The rest will remain dry. The maximum temperature tomorrow will be 2 degrees. In the west, like Wrocław, Zielona Góra and Poznań, also 1 degree in the northern parts, as well as in Bydgoszcz, and -1 degree in the east, and the minimum will be -2 in Białystok. This is all. Have a good night. Thank you.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Adam Kostrzewa of BGK Bank. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Your job at the bank is TMT sector.
Right.
So what is the TMT sector in the bank? Obvious question, but for those who don't know.
Absolutely. TMT is telecommunication technology and media, or telecommunication media and technology sector, which is common abbreviation for this quite broad range of activities we do in the world and in Poland as well.
Okay. And what specific? What is the specific? Could you go a little bit deeper?
Okay. We are in the media now, so this is kind of touch what is the TMT sector about, and mostly these days we are about technology. All the development of ICT technologies, all development of
artificial
things like
exactly
artificial and Internet of things like this. But please let me explain this a bit about the BGK, the State Development Bank, and sectors, because as we deal with the national economy, we also have a look at the economy by means of the sectors. So we are interested, or we are focused on heavy infrastructure or railways, highways, things like this, but also on very high-edge developed sectors like TMT.
Okay. The bank, as you said, is state-owned, is devoted to build huge infrastructural projects, the projects that can change Poland in terms of 10, 20 or 30 years. Can you name any projects in your sector that are like that?
Oh, a few. We are in the, let's say, e-commerce, for instance. As some people say the word that e-commerce is going to overtake the traditional commerce day by day, as we observe what is going on in the world, like Alibaba, for instance, and big players in Poland. We are more and more going into e-commerce solutions. So this
Should we have our own Alibaba? Like Alibaba is a tool to disperse Chinese-made products all over the world on the competitive prices. Do we also should think this way about our high-end food, high-end small producers, small manufacturers, people who are right now hidden somewhere in Zamość? Yeah. I don't know if our viewers know how to spell Zamość, but beautiful city, but absolutely outside of the main tracks, yet there are great people who produce fantastic things.
Yes. Excellent question, and we probably already have a kind of Polish Alibaba. The question is, can we compete with China, and where can we compete with China? And e-commerce solutions is, as a matter of fact, the only way probably in the future to deal with this issue and to hopefully maybe not overtake the Chinese market, but be available and be present at the global market, in fact, even from Zamość, which I recommend to visit. I have been there recently. I love this city.
Well, this is a pearl of Renaissance, but it's not the issue of our conversation right now. The issue of our conversation, however, is how to promote and help those sectors to develop. So are there any programs that people who are in Poland or running a business can subscribe to in order to get the leverage from BGK?
Yes, absolutely. Please let me say a few words about how we act, because I mentioned sectors like TMT commerce or transport, things like this, but also we have typical bank products like structured debt, which is a typical product for heavy investment and big transactions. But as we go to innovation area, which is another area I'm responsible for, this is kind of dimension that goes throughout any sector in the economy. So if we take a look at the solutions we provide to SMEs and big corporations, we have very well known in Poland kind of financing which is called technological premium. We have hundreds of participants and companies that are successfully win this premium, which allows the expanding business in Poland and abroad as well. But this financing has their limits. This is up to 6 million Polish zlotys, which sometimes is not enough. So if so, we have specific products like especially structured finance. We can think, deal and structure the necessary financing for namely any project with only one condition. A project has to be bankable, which is a difficult word and sometimes difficult to be exactly fit in these conditions, but as we are a bank anyway, we have to stick to the bank law, which requires at least good standing, financial standing and good prospects by means of cash flow.
Right, right. The Google company in the early 1990s had no financial standing whatsoever. Microsoft in 1980s, no financial statement whatsoever. The same with YouTube, the same with Facebook. They wouldn't get credit from it.
Completely agree, but please remember BGK as a state development bank is one of, we call it, state development institution. So everyone is dealing with some range of financing, which is, let's say, we are not a typical institution for financing startups. At least they are bankable. Please let me give you an example of excellent Polish startup. Its name Shumisie in Poland. This is a small company producing bears, like toys for children. This is excellent business. They have excellent cash flow, and since they are still startup, namely, they are completely bankable. So this is not so easy or obvious to say we are not financing startups. No, we do finance business which is bankable. But for other which are in very early stage of development, we have PFR providing equity finance. We have PARP providing other range of financial help, and so on and so on.
One more thing about the fintech, financial technologies. That's the new catchy word.
Absolutely.
Lots of people join in the bandwagon and want to get rich on that. What is your take on it?
Okay. Please let me say, first of all, that we have in Poland excellent track record with fintech. Some of you may remember, and you know, Inteligo. Which could be called as a first fintech in Poland, but also one of the first in the world. When we go to some conferences worldwide and hear about fintech solutions, we say simply, stop, we already have this for 5 years. So we are very good in fintech. We do support fintech development, maybe not by means but State National Bank, because we are not Commerce Bank. But we do support Polish companies expanding in a fintech area. Please let me name the last winner of Singapore competition for fintech, Bilon. Excellent business. These are kind of
and they are
companies.
bankable, which is the most
Yes, they
important
are.
question. Okay. Sir, thank you very much
Thank you
for
very much.
visiting our studio. Adam Kostrzewa of BGK TMT Sector Director was our guest, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Thank you.
Mazowsze is one of the largest artistic ensembles in the world, drawing from the abundance of Poland's national dances, songs, chants, and traditions. The name comes from Poland's central region, Mazowsze, but the ensemble's repertoire has quickly expanded to incorporate the folklore of other regions. As of today, it includes stage presentations of 42 various regions and their folklore. Officially, Mazowsze was created on November 8, 1948, following the disposition of the Ministry of Culture and Art. Tadeusz Sygetyński was entrusted with the task of organizing a folk ensemble, whose objective was to preserve the traditional folk repertoire, based on songs, chants, and dances of the Mazowsze region and the regional artistic tradition. However, the idea of creating an ensemble of that kind had originated a long time before that. The ensemble's initial successes abroad brought to light audiences' needs and expectations. The name Mazowsze, previously unknown to foreigners, has become a key word that identifies Poland and its culture. To Polish communities abroad, it has come to stand for homeland and patriotism.
When was the ensemble created?
Mazowsze powstało w 1948 roku, a pierwszy swój koncert dał w Teatrze Polskim w Warszawie w 1950 roku. No, zjawisko, które...
A state folk group of song and dance, Mazowsze, was formed in 1948. The first concert took place in the Polish Theater in Warsaw in 1950. The phenomenon of Polish folklore appearing on opera and theater stages is amazing. We can compare it with other, bigger artistic phenomena in the world. You have to have a great idea for it to work. It's hard to imagine the appearance of any folklore at a concert hall, because all folklore comes from its own particular environment. So it takes a lot of effort, and it requires a great idea to transform Polish folklore in such a way that it can be watched by audiences from all over the world.
Dzięki współpracy dwojga wspaniałych ludzi, Tadeusza Sygetyńskiego i późniejszej jego małżonki, Miry Zimińskiej.
It worked out thanks to the cooperation of the two amazing people, Tadeusz Sygetyński and Mira Zimińska-Sygetyńska, who later became husband and wife. The couple created this genius phenomenon, which made Polish folklore king of the Polish stage for almost 70 years. But not only Polish stages. Folk tradition is live and well received in China, Japan, England, Eastern countries, and the USA, where Mazowsze has had the biggest number of concerts. This communicative language finds its recipients and is enthusiastically received even in China, thanks to the fact that the creators of Polish folklore stylized it so that it would be suitable for audiences from all over the world.
Tak, by on nadawał się właśnie do oglądania przez społeczność międzynarodową.
And so why is it called Mazowsze?
Mazowsze oczywiście to region polski. Obecnie to największe województwo w Polsce.
Mazowsze, Mazovia in English, is of course a region in Poland. It is the largest province in Poland, and the band Mazowsze was created here in a place called Karolin, and that's where its name came from. Initially, it was supposed to be a band creating folk music from the Mazowsze region, which is widely understood because it consists of several, let's say, micro-regions.
Po prostu ten repertuar Mazowsza stał się repertuarem.
But over time, its repertoire started to embrace other regions of Poland, from the Baltic Sea to the Highlands. So it became an artistic phenomenon not only of the Mazowsze region, but all over Poland. But the name of the band was actually taken from the Mazowsze region.
Nazwę Mazowsze wzięło od regionu Mazowsza.
How many people are within the ensemble? Is it always the same people or does it vary?
Więc Mazowsze w tej chwili ma ponad 150 artystów. Jest to chór, balet i orkiestra.
Currently, the band Mazowsze has over 150 members. It contains a choir, a ballet, and an orchestra. Well, it's quite a big musical and vocal and dance ensemble which puts together these wonderful shows which are based on music, dancing, and singing, which of course comes from Polish folklore. Polish folklore is very rich because every village used to have their own rituals, costumes, and characteristic dances.
Prawie każda wieś miała swoje obrzędy, swoje stroje, swoje charakterystyczne tańce.
So this cultural wealth was very, very large. I have to add that the history of Poland, in a natural way, forced us to adopt certain patterns from neighboring countries, from other people who simply came to our land. So this folklore also has different elements of other nations, but it is extremely rich, and that is why it's so beautiful and shown not only in Poland.
Ale jest on niezwykle bogaty i dlatego tak przepięknie się można go pokazywać właśnie nie tylko w Polsce.
Thank you very much.
The contributions of the Armenian nation to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth is exemplified by the great historical figures during the time. Here to explore with us some of those people is the founder of the Armenian Foundation, Maciej Bohosiewicz, and he will be talking to us about the figures that permanently shifted the Polish culture. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us here today is Maciej Bohowczewicz, representative of the Armenian Foundation, and here to talk to us about the history of the Armenian population in Poland. So tell me, after being here for a while, I'm pretty sure there are some notorious Polish Armenians, and can you name a few on top of your head and tell me what their achievements are?
Społeczność ormiańska, bogacąc się, dostępowała różnych zaszczytów, ale tradycja ormiańska była następująca.
The Armenian society received many honors when they got rich. However, by tradition, they did not value material things like houses or land. Instead, they held books in high regard. Books symbolized knowledge and wisdom. That is because Armenians would pass on this one truth from father to son. Even though you live here today, the world is unstable, and tomorrow you can be chased away. Hence, it is crucial that should your house be burnt down or taken away, you must take a book from there, meaning you must acquire the knowledge. That society invested heavily in knowledge and their youth, because they knew that if they are educated, they will have a good life and be wealthy, regardless of where they may end up.
Wiedzę, będąc wyedukowanym, dojdą do zaszczytów, dojdą do dużych pozycji finansowych. I to też tego typu nakład był robiony. Dlaczego o tym mówię? Dlatego, że cała grupa Plejada...
I mention that because a big number of Armenian bishops were scientists, philosophers. Famed names such as Tumanowicz and Archbishops Isakovich, or the last Armenian Catholic Archbishop of Lvov, Józef Teodorovich. They were the so-called statesmen, heads of church. They were the most influential people in the cities they resided in.
Miasta, w którym rezydowali. Ormianie także, tak jak mówiłem, trudnili się kupiectwem, a patrząc na kupiectwo z innej strony, to widzimy, że kupiectwo...
Many Armenians were merchants, which entailed numerous international trips. This in turn meant that they were very well versed in a number of foreign languages. A typical Armenian would know about 6 or 7 Oriental languages, which was a great opportunity for a Polish king or magnate.
...tych umiejętności i znajomości. Jakich? A mianowicie stawał się
Multilingual Armenians became diplomats and advisors to kings, and since they were diplomats, they could also become spies and gather important information for Poland. That was often the case. One of such people was Sefer Muratowicz, who lived in the 16th and 17th century. He would travel to Persia and negotiate with Shah Abbas I on behalf of King Sigismund III Vaza. Only now are we finding out how important some of the deals he made possible were and how big was his influence on Polish history.
Bardzo istotne rzeczy, które teraz wychodzą powolutku na światło dzienne, jak ważna misja w jego rękach była.
The Armenians have had a significant presence in Polish history dating all the way back to the 14th century. They are often deeply involved in the historical events scattered throughout the progression of the Polish timeline and are one of the most well-integrated demographics of the Polish nation. Polish writers would later on describe the Armenian immigrants as the salt of the earth, an exceedingly useful and desirable element, and that much of the historic turmoils owes its luster in large degree to Armenian immigrants. Through successive immigrations, the Armenians of Poland gradually formed a colony and were welcomed by the kings of Poland and were granted not only religious liberty, but also political privileges, further cementing the importance of the demographic and the respect given to them by the Polish nation.
Mógłbym także powiedzieć jeszcze o Ormianach, którzy tak naprawdę w Polsce poczuli się w 100% jak w swojej drugiej ojczyźnie.
Armenians viewed Poland as their new true homeland. They were loyal to Poland, shedding blood and even sacrificing their life for the country. We know from the stories told orally about our forefathers that Armenians fought in the Polish army as early as in the Battle of Grunwald in 1410.
W bitwie pod Warną byli Ormianie walcząc za Polskę, także byli Ormianie z Janem.
They also fought in the Battle of Varna, 1444, as well as in the famous Battle of Vienna, led by the Polish king Jan Sobieski III. You can hardly find any important Polish battle where the Armenians did not delegate their units of soldiers.
Dominikanin, ksiądz Sadok Barącz, Wspaniała postać, która
Sadok Baronj, a Dominican priest, was yet another distinguished figure in the history of Polish Armenians. On his initiative, the traditions and laws of the Armenians were written down. His book, An Overview of Armenian Deeds, is very famous. Thanks to this piece, we are able to understand how the lives of Armenians looked like here in Poland. Another great person about whom Polish children learn in school is Józef Ziemorowicz or Szymon Szymonowic. These are the names of Polish Armenians who had an immense contribution to Polish history, which is not always talked about. Additionally, we Armenians hold priest Grzegorz Piramowicz in high regard. He was the Commissionary for National Education, author of The Duties of a Teacher. He was a great influence on teaching in Poland and deserves praise in this area.
Oddająca niesamowite zasługi na tym polu.
These are just some of the few names that brought contributions to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. But it is not limited to the historical figures, but also the men and women they led into the Polish nation. The men and women of the Armenian nation would later on bring positive effect and impact on Polish religion, culture, science, and knowledge. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're glad to see you again. In this new series, we're going to go behind the scenes in Warsaw. We will be trolling the nooks and crannies of the capital with our guide Wojtek Młatkowski from, wait for it, Behind the Scenes Warsaw. That's the name of his company, which provides entertaining and informative tours of the big pierogi, Warsaw, beautiful downtown Warsaw. In fact, all of Warsaw. He keeps an eye out for things you simply would not notice without his expert guidance. So sit right back and we will tell you a tale, starting with Plac Zamkowy, or Castle Square in the Old Town. We will then head to the far side of the ancient city, behind the castle, and then over to the Warsaw City Museum to examine ancient foundations. We'll take you for a spin in the revered Żuk van, a motor vehicle so fabulous they named it Beetle. Or they named it after a beetle, anyway. Yeah. The Żuk rules, as you will see. It pulls the piece together like Lebowski's rug. Yes, there's nothing like cruising the main drag in a crypto-communist car. So stay tuned for the Żuk. We'll make stops in Plac Konstytucji, that's Constitution Square. And we'll go over to the waterworks at Filtrowa, where mystery abounds. So it's adventure and travel talk, as always, in store for you, because we love you, on Poland Daily Travel, behind the scenes in Warsaw. Stick with us. Come along for the ride. Town Hall right behind us, yeah?
Yep.
What's the history of Marszałkowska Street?
Well, it has a name that reminds you of a marshal, yes?
Yes.
Like a big marshal of army or what?
Like a general, yeah?
Yes. In fact, one of the Warsaw marshals from the army and from the country, Mr. Bieliński, has paved the streets of Warsaw, first time in a proper way. And he has organized the city to be a little bit less dirty than it was before, yes? And so, to honor this guy, the Marszałkowska Street was named after his title, not after his name, yes?
Poland Daily, we're here on the street and we got some interesting comparison of two different types of buildings. We got Wojtek, he's going to tell us about it.
Well, that is not exactly true, because these are exactly the same buildings
the
same type.
Okay.
Just take a look how similar they are, yes, between this building and this building. Only the stone is slightly different, only the time is different in which they have been built.
Aha.
This one is 1930s, late 1930s. It was a very luxurious building built for a telephone company. So just imagine, a lot of cash in it. And it has been designed by a very good pre-World War II architect who was unlucky not to survive World War II. And you can see that this is a pre-World War II building by these patched up bullet holes in here.
Oh, that's a patched up bullet hole here.
Yeah, and it's hundreds of
and
them,
here,
literally
and here.
hundreds
All of these
them,
are
yes.
patched bullet holes. I never noticed that. I've walked by here many times. I never saw that. Yeah.
And then you see that this is perfect granite in here, yes?
Right.
It's expensive. And then you see that this is more plain on this side. It's just sandstone. But just look, it's down to a centimeter the same size and the same general measurements of that building. In here, the only people who could be thrilled by the destruction of Warsaw got a very good moment, you know, in their lives.
Why is that?
Why is that? The only people who could be thrilled by the destruction of Warsaw were architects. They got a chance. They got a chance to expand their modern ideas into a town.
That's a dark take on history. Okay,
well,
but I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like with every other
because they'd had a job. They had a job. They had to rebuild the whole city. Okay.
And then what did they do?
Sure.
They have made the best building here expand to a district for about 60,000 people. And the whole construction time of that district was just 3 years, yes? 2 years for one project and then another 2 years for this project here. As you see, they proceed with the building, making it nearly as good as the previous building was, but only from slightly cheaper material here, in a place in which you cannot see, which is not the front. And the faster we go towards the main Constitution Square, the more posh materials you will get. So very soon we will arrive at a place in which there is granite again. Yes?
Very good. Let's go see it.
Let's go see it.
Yep.
Yeah? Let's touch it.
Feels good to me. We're talking a lot about this construction. I mean, Platz Konstytucji is a huge square. Was built during 50s? The 50s.
Very early 1950s until 52.
Same time as the Palace of Culture, yeah?
A little bit
earlier.
Later. A little bit earlier than Palace of Culture.
Earlier than the Palace of Culture?
Exactly.
Okay, so what are we looking at here? Why is this...
here.
What does this tell us?
Well, this tells us that these people, they still wanted to impress the public, yes? For instance, we have been to the backyard.
Who are these people? You mean the
like
communists?
The communist architects, or kind of architects, yes?
Okay.
Not really communists, but you know, architects of this time.
Right, yeah.
But they had to be very cost-conscious.
Bunch of show-offs, weren't they?
Same cost-conscious and show-off.
At the same time.
They have used.
But here they're showing off and being cost-conscious at the same time.
Well, just look. A couple of seconds ago, we have been at a very cheaply built part of the building, you know, with pure sandstone that was cheap, yes?
Yeah,
and
sure.
here we are in a more visible place, in a posh place, just on the edge of the Constitution Square, on the corner of it, and then you get the expensive granite here, not over there. And the less a place is visible, the less a part of a building is visible, the worse the materials are, you know? The less posh ones. And here in the front, perfect granite of two different types, as you can see it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that's how it works.
Great granite. These are not bullet holes, though. What are those?
No. They are just places to hold the plates of granite. And they are not only one, but there are two for each one, and even four, like here. And maybe here you will see this bolt of iron, you know? That you will...
Oh, here's the bolt of iron, yeah.
Yep.
Right there.
Just one of the old ways to fix it, yes?
Right there.
And to put it on the...
Tell me, where did they get the granite from? Did they take it from Italy?
In this case, they have probably taken it from Silesia, from
Silesia.
Lower Silesia.
Which
that's
is
a region that
southwestern Poland.
yeah, that got Poland right at this moment, first time since many centuries.
Yeah.
It was one of those German areas that got taken over by
Wrocław was previously
Poland.
Breslau, for
It
example.
is even more south than Wrocław. I assume that this granite looks more or less like Jawor or Jawor place, but I'm not absolutely sure. That's exactly what architects talk about. There are tours of architects that are extremely specialized in this architecture. And it's not me, but one of my colleagues who is a professional architect who works with us and who knows exactly from where the stone has been taken to here. But not Italy, that was the Western world. That was most probably Poland.
Listen, if anybody knows where this granite is from, write in and tell us. If you get it right, you'll get a prize from Wojtek. What will they get, Wojtek?
Oh, they will get a tour with us.
A free tour around Warsaw. If you can figure out where this granite is from. Where is this granite from?